everybody. Welcome. My name is Tracy Paje, and I'm a leadership and life coach certified through ICF, which is International Coaching Federation. I'm really excited today to share with you Out of Your Head and Into Action, which is a goal-setting workshop. Because we're in the start of the new year, there's a lot of different ideas that are floating around in our head on how we can change our life and make steps towards maybe something that's more fulfilling. And I'm here today to help give you a couple extra tools to get you set up. I work with women to become happier, healthier, and more fulfilled in their personal and professional lives. And I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. As we get going throughout our presentation today, I'm going to walk us through a little bit of the psychology behind how to think about our goals, and then we'll get started working through what I call an AIM SMART goal. You're probably familiar with a SMART goal from your corporate setting or even a self-development book, but we're going to take it a couple steps further, and I'll provide a couple questions to ask yourself so that you really can check in and make sure this goal is something that you can 100% accomplish in the time period you've set forward. All right, so before we get into the goal setting format, I want to share just a little bit more about how we think, and how we think really does matter. So when we're thinking about our goal that we're creating, I want us to use this as a point of reference. So one energy is called catabolic energy, and it's destructive energy. It breaks us down. And this form of energy is something that we can create within ourselves, and it's something we can feel from others. So for example, we all have that inner critic that likes to kind of keep us small and tear us down. That's catabolic energy. What it's doing is it's stripping away motivation. It's creating a breakdown of confidence and really halts all action forward and keeps us in our place. An example of this that's outside of our body is, we've all seen that example of Miss Debbie Downer, who comes to the party and she just drains our energy. She talks about things that really start to diminish all quality of life, right? You just can't wait to get out of it because it just feels so terrible to be in. For the point of today's lecture, I really would like you to think about, the internal voice within yourself. We can definitely talk about, how we spend our time with other people at another time. And then catabolic energy, that's something that builds us up. It's motivating energy, it's exciting energy, it's possibly fun. And that's where I'd like us to really hang out today in our workshop so that we can create a goal that is not only motivating, but really filled with this anabolic energy that you're creating for yourself. Now, an outside source of this, we've all felt this with either a really close group of friends or even family that builds you up. There's laughter, it's easy, and you really can't wait to spend more time with that group. So that's an example of anabolic energy from the outside in. So when we're creating this goal, be thoughtful and conscious of the thought patterns that are popping up. And we'll dive a little bit more so you really understand what that means. So one thing that comes up for my clients often is I hear the words need and should. And generally, when they're saying these words need and should, it's a message from the outside coming in. Maybe it's authoritative, but it's definitely unmotivating. Now, on the flip side, if they were to change that word to want, they're going to switch it to a more empowering message. When we use the word want, it gives us an idea, or really it just flips the message to a choice. You're choosing something as opposed to you have to do it. Here's an example that literally just happened this morning for me. I was having a conversation with somebody and saying, I really need to call the doctor to schedule my shoulder surgery. I really should do that today. Have I done that? Absolutely not. It's been on my list for 5 weeks and I have not done it. You want to know why? I don't want to. I don't want to have shoulder surgery. I really don't. I don't want to recover. I don't want to go to the appointments. I don't want to even think about it. So until I'm really ready and wanting to do it, there's not a whole lot of point of spinning my wheels of needing and shoulding about it. Really, when you're ready to kind of take that next step, flip your conversation into want, and there's a much better chance that you're going to be excited and ready to tackle that goal. Now, this is what I've been kind of alluding to for the last 2 slides, is that our thoughts, the way we think about things, it creates an emotion or a feeling. And then those emotions and feelings create actions, or contrary, lack of action. So I'll give you an example. An example is somebody who wants to go to the gym. It's 2020. They've got some health goals lined up, as many of us do at the start of the year. But maybe their thought pattern is, I really should go to the gym. Oh, I need to lose weight. Which now creates a feeling of possibly shame, possibly unmotivated, and frankly, kind of feeling sad about it inside. Okay, so when those feelings come up, potentially the action will be lack of action, that there's really no incentive for them to go because they're already feeling crummy before they even start the process. So generally, if those are the thoughts and feelings, generally the action is nothing. However, and this is just an example, if we were to flip the conversation that we had with ourselves and the thought was, I really want to feel more energetic. I want to feel proud of my body. I want to spend time with a friend and she takes class at 6 a.m. So those thoughts create a very different emotional impact and the feelings that are created from it. Maybe there's a feeling of excitement to spend time with their friend. Maybe they really want to feel more energetic and they know that one way to do that is by moving their body more. And so that's creating a very different emotional reaction, which is more likely to create that action. Okay, so when we examine our thoughts, we can explore our feelings and then we notice the actions. This is something you can do from a past goal that you may have set or an intention that may have worked out or may not have worked out. I find that there's a lot of growth that can come when we examine things that didn't work out as we had originally hoped. So checking in with kind of what went wrong in this pattern, and maybe it's not even right or wrong. Maybe it's something that, maybe how can we tweak it, okay? We're gonna kind of use this as we enter our goal setting process. So remembering that our thoughts are going to create an emotional reaction, and those emotional reactions are going to create actions or lack of action. So keep that in mind as we get going. Now, before we get going, I'd like us to just press pause for a moment. And this is something that I work with my clients on during most sessions, to just bring the energy level down a little bit, check in with their heart space, which I know sounds a little woo-woo if you're not quite there yet, but it's really a chance to just bring it down. And my 6-year-old kindergartner has a saying that he learned from his school is we want to center before we enter. So before we start our goal setting process, I'm going to give us just a quick little recentering exercise so that we can come in fresh-minded and really from a calm space. So if you're in a place that's safe, hopefully you're not driving right now, but if you are, obviously keep those eyes open. If you're in a comfortable spot and you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to close your eyes. I invite you to sit up as tall as you can, and we'll inhale through our nose, shrugging your shoulders up by your ears. We'll let an audible exhale out and let your shoulders fall. Do that again. A big inhale, shrugging up. Exhale, audible exhale, release. Let your breath return back to its normal state. Let your jaw relax. And let your forehead relax. And letting your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. Letting your breath be easy in and out. Good. I want you to sense the airflow in and out from your nostrils. Focus on your breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your chest and maybe your stomach. Feeling the chair underneath you, supporting you. We'll take one more big deep breath, feeling yourself a little bit more calm and relaxed. Let yourself press pause on whatever's happened before this workshop today, and press pause on whatever is coming after. Give yourself this gift of the next 15 minutes to focus on a goal that you want to work on, creating a little bit more action around something that may be floating around in your brain as something that you want to work towards. And letting it come from a place of calm and peace. When you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. Maybe a good morning stretch, reaching those arms up overhead. All right. So we're going to get into our goal setting session, and I hope you feel a little bit more calm and relaxed. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil. I like to use an eraser in case you need to go back and revise something. If you're using the computer or your phone, totally fine as well, as long as you have a place to record your thoughts. We're going to do this workshop and actually work through it. So you're not just listening, we're going to be creating this goal starting right now. All right, so you've probably seen this SMART piece before. Specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time-oriented. I'm going to walk you through this part of it. And then the next phase is I really feel like where it really clarifies even more. All right, so these are the 5 stages of goal setting. So on the top of your page, go ahead and write specific. And for the purposes of this workshop, I really would like you to keep your goal small. And I mean that because I really want you to feel accomplished at the end of this time period. And I want you to feel 100% confident that you can start this as soon as we get off the call today. So I'm going to kind of give you some direction in terms of time orientation, specifically for this goal. And it's within a 2-week period. And I give you a 2-week period because when I work with my clients, we either meet weekly or we meet bi-monthly, so every other week. And that gives us the structure for what we want to have accomplished by the next call. When I say we, I mean actually my client. My client is the one coming up with whatever goal that they're working on. I provide structure, I provide clarity, I provide questions to really hone in on what they want, why, and how to get there. All right. So what specifically do you want to have accomplished within a 2-week period? Now, another way to phrase that would be to, how do I want to say this? An action or a learning do you want to have accomplished as well? So what goal do you want to have accomplished? What do you want to have happened? Is there any further learning or action that needs to happen or want to happen, excuse me. So go ahead and jot down a few different ideas. If there's one that stands out, go ahead and circle that, and we'll move on from there. If there's one that's just, crying out to you that you really want to get started on, please take a moment and write down your thoughts around it. All right. The next is measurable. So I wrote down qualify and quantify. So really what I mean by that is, how will you know that you've been successful? What would it look like? Maybe it would be, if you're starting a business and your goal is to sell a product, maybe you would make 3 phone calls. I'm just making this up. I don't know, whatever your goal is, but see if you can get very specific of what's your measure of success. What would that look like? But maybe what would that feel like? How are you going to measure that you've accomplished what you want to accomplish? All right, next is achievable. And this is where I usually stop my clients and I say, hey, is this possible? Why? Okay, so if for some reason we may have overshot, what's actually possible in the next 2 weeks, go back and revise it. No shame in that. Revise it. Use that eraser. Go back and revise that specific goal. Maybe revise how you want to qualify or quantify it, and then ask yourself that question again. Is it possible and why? Reasonable. How I like to phrase this is, can this be done at this time? Right? We lead a very full life, right? There's maybe a family that you have at home that you're taking care of. Maybe it's your family, your older parents that you're taking care of. Full-time work, part-time work, volunteering, whatever it is, we're busy, okay? So can it really be done at this time? Again, if the answer is no, go back and revise. And then I already kind of gave you that time frame, but if you'd like to make it more specific, when exactly will you have this done by? Date, time, etc. Okay, so this is the basis of a SMART goal. Again, you've probably seen this before. Now, have you always sat down and created a personal SMART goal? Probably not. So I'm so glad you're doing that today. If it's work related, great. I'm happy to have you here too. But now what? Okay, you've got this awesome goal. Okay, but now what? This is where I find my clients really can break down what exactly they want to accomplish. So in their time period that you've set, which was under 2 weeks, what is the bare minimum for you to feel successful? Because at the end of the day, this is a baby step getting you closer to either clarity or closer to a goal that you already know that you want. So what is the bare minimum that you can do within a 2-week time period or whatever you've set out? What is that? Jot that down. And I really like to picture this aim portion similar to a target, right? So we're just working on the center, the bare minimum, the smallest part of it. Now on the outside of that target, what is the maximum you can do for your goal that will blow it out of the water? Highest expectations. Again, kind of being thoughtful of your life and what's happening, what's coming up, okay? What's the maximum that you would maybe surprise yourself? All right. And in the middle is your realistic stretch. So it may look similar to what you've already created on your SMART goal, but maybe there's a way to kind of stretch it just a little bit or make it a little bit more specific. So we've got our minimum, which is our first, our maximum, and then a realistic stretch. And that's that middle portion of your target. Okay. So if you're watching my slides, I've got a silly picture of a unicorn raft and some girls having a lot of fun, and I have no idea what their goals are, but nonetheless, 2 questions to ask yourself once you've done your aim part. 1, what could get in the way? My clients generally have, off the top of their head, 3 or 4 things immediately, right? By verbalizing it and or writing it down, you're making it real. And you're going to start to create some strategies to go over those hurdles, under them, around them, all right? So get specific. What could get in the way? And then jot down your ideas of what could really get in your way of accomplishing this 2-week goal. And how are you planning to sidestep it? What's your strategy so it doesn't slow you down? Okay. Now, this is, I think, probably the most important question that I'll be asking you today is, how can you make this fun? And I know that sounds a little light and fluffy, but this is where we start to really churn up that anabolic energy. We're creating motivation for ourselves. We're creating excitement. How can you make it fun? What would make this goal fun? Okay. Now, back to my shoulder surgery, I'm not quite sure. So I'm still working on how to set up a specific goal for that. But for you, for this goal, how could you make it fun? All right. What's exciting about it? How can you share this with others? How can you reward yourself? But most importantly, the process of this goal, how can you make that fun and enjoyable? As a human, we are programmed to be drawn toward pleasure. It's part of our brain. It's part of our DNA. We look for things that are pleasurable. So how can you make this goal, this process, not the end, the work part? How can you make that really enjoyable? All right, so in summary today, we create a goal and we reflect on the past, what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past. We use that idea of our thoughts, our feelings, our actions to help propel us into that anabolic state of mind. We uncover roadblocks. We see what could stop us, what could get in our way. Then we strategize how to go over it, under it, or around that obstacle. That obstacle is probably going to stay there, but how are you going to move around it? We have a choice. And last, we want to walk the talk, all right? You're going to create opportunities for accountability. And what that means is sharing it with others, all right? I'm happy to be your accountability partner. Please feel free to reach out to me. Maybe you've got a best friend or a partner that's interested in the same thing or just interested in your well-being. Share it with them. If you're interested in sharing on social media, what a fun way to let people in on your life. Let them know what you're working on. So creating some strategies to really walk your talk and be held accountable. When we keep things secret, it's much easier to bail on ourselves. Okay, it's harder to bail on a friend or somebody that knows your goal. All right, so share it with others. I'm here for you. My email is right on the page. It's tracy@tracypager.com. And I hope you reach out to me and let me know what your goal is and some time frame around it. And please share your successes. If you get stuck in your goal, don't worry. It's totally normal. Okay? It's normal to feel stuck. And generally what gets us stuck is not so much a physical barrier, although at times it can be, but generally it's the story that we're telling ourselves of why we can't do what we want, all right? And so that thought process creates that catabolic energy. So try to flip the story and create the I want, create the more anabolic energy that's fueling, and reframe your situation so that that goal starts to feel more attainable. Now, if that goal was too far of a stretch, revise it, pull it back, make it smaller, okay? No shame in that, all right? I support you. I think you have the power to do anything you put your mind and your heart to. I'll leave you today with a quote that really speaks to me on a variety of levels, but it says, life offers neither problems nor challenges, only opportunities. I love this quote, and I picture, rose-colored glasses where there aren't any more obstacles. There's nothing wrong. There's no problems. There's no judgment. I only see the opportunities that are in front of me, and I only see the opportunities that I can find within myself. So I hope you had a wonderful time today joining in. Thank you for checking this out, and have a wonderful rest of your day.